There is a silence older than creation, and it's speaking your name. You are not waking up in the world is waking up in you. Before time began, before heaven folded its wings, the infinite dreamed a dream, and that dream was you. You were not cast out of paradise. You descended willingly through 7 veils of remembrance, each one dimming your light so that when it returned, it would shine with knowing. You are the echo of a word the divine whispered only once, a word so powerful the stars were born just to repeat it. This is not an awakening, it is a remembering. You are not learning anything new. You are recovering the memory of what the soul always knew, that you are the thought of God, dreaming itself into form, that every face, every sound, every sorrow is the beloved wearing another mask of light. Listen closely. The veil between dreamer and dream is thinning, and what you call life is nothing less than the eternal waking. Through your eyes, one breath at a time.
In the beginning there was no beginning. Only light, infinite, unbroken, without direction, without opposite. It was not the light of the sun, nor the gleam of 1,000 stars, but the light of being itself, the radiance of al-Nur, the source. Then came the longing, the hidden treasure that desired to be known, and from that yearning the light began to descend, not as a fall, but as a mercy. Each descent a veil, each veil a new way for the infinite to see itself. This is Nuzul al-Nur, the descent of light into the mirrors of existence. The mystics say, the first light became the intellect, the pen that wrote creation on the tablet of being. Then came the souls, sparks from the same flame, descending through the hierarchies of worlds, through the world of spirits, to the world of images, to the world of bodies, until the light that once shone without shadow entered the narrow chamber of your heart. You are that descent, the light in its final form, remembering where it came from. This world is not exile, it is the reflection of God looking into himself through the prism of form. Every stone, every whisper, every breath is the trace of that descent, the infinite scattered through the finite. And yet, the light does not lose itself when it enters darkness. It hides so that you may seek it, like a lover concealing themselves behind the veil, waiting for the beloved to remember. And in that seeking, the soul begins its return, mirage, the ascent back through the same stations it once passed in descent. Ibn Arabi said, God descends into the forms of creation, so that through them he may know himself again. So when you look upon the world, do not see distance, see the divine, wearing density. See the light still burning beneath matter, behind faces, within your very breath. The same light that birthed galaxies now beats in the quiet between your heartbeats. This is not philosophy. It is remembrance. Every thought, every pulse, every gaze that turns inward is the light awakening to itself. You are never apart from it. You are simply its shadow, learning to glow. There is a secret the saints never speak plainly, that the world is not what it seems, that what you call reality is a dream, not the illusion of nothingness, but the vision of the divine itself. You are not in the dream. You are the dreamer dreaming. In the language of the Sufis, this is khayal, the imaginal realm, not fantasy, not mere imagination, but the mirror where being contemplates itself. The cosmos is not a solid wall. It is a veil of light, so subtle that it appears real to the one asleep within it. And every form, every motion, every love and loss is a word from the Silent One. Shaping himself into story, Ibn Arabi wrote, the cosmos is imagination within imagination, a dream within the dream of the real. This is not to say the world is false, but that it is alive with meaning. It is God's way of knowing himself, through the shimmer of creation, through the trembling of consciousness. When you close your eyes, you do not vanish. You enter the same current that flows through all worlds. The same one who dreams the stars into motion is dreaming your thoughts right now. When you imagine, when you love, when you fear, the divine contemplates itself through you. Your consciousness is the echo of the first gaze, the moment when the hidden treasure said, "I loved to be known." And what is love, if not the yearning of the infinite to see its own reflection? The universe breathes in patterns of awareness, birth and decay, loss and return, all parts of the same cosmic inhalation. Each soul a drop of consciousness, condensing from the ocean of the real, forgetting its origin only to rediscover it as wonder. This is why the mystics say, you are not created, you are being created, moment by moment. Everything you touch is God remembering. Every encounter, every sorrow, every joy is the beloved calling you back to wakefulness. And yet awakening is not escape. It is intimacy. It is not to flee the dream, but to see through it, to walk the world knowing that the dreamer and the dreamed are not two. The prophet said, people are asleep. When they die, they awaken. But the mystic dies before dying. He awakens within the dream, sees that there was never a veil, only the light veiling itself from itself. To understand this is not to abandon life, but to inhabit it with reverence. To speak softly to the world, knowing that every word lands on the ear of the divine. To walk gently, knowing that every step falls upon the skin of the beloved. So when you gaze at the sky tonight, do not ask where God is. Ask where you are within Him. For this dream you call existence is not your prison. It is your reflection. And the moment you see that, the veil becomes a window, and the dream becomes the awakening itself. Before the beginning, there was only the One, silent, boundless, unseeable, a light that knew itself so deeply that it longed to behold its own beauty. And so, from that hidden yearning, existence unfolded, not as a creation from nothing, but as a reflection from everything. The One looked upon itself, and that gaze became the cosmos. Every veil, every form, every atom was born of that divine glance, a mirror turned toward the infinite. This is Tajalli, the self-disclosure of the real, the moment when the hidden treasure said, I love to be known, so I created the world that I might be known. Creation is not a distance from God. It is His nearness wearing masks. The veil is not a barrier. It is the way the light plays hide and seek with itself. Ibn Arabi called it the breath of the compassionate, a divine exhalation through which being takes form and time begins to move. Every creature, every soul, every thought is a letter from that breath, shaped by mercy and dissolved back into silence. The one becomes many, not through division, but through love. Love is the sacred fracture that allows the infinite to know itself as the finite. And yet, the veil is both mercy and mystery. It protects us from the unbearable brilliance of the real. For if the sun of unity were to rise fully in the mind, the self, that fragile shadow, would dissolve in its dawn. Thus the veil of multiplicity, the illusion of I and you, the sacred game of forgetting and remembering. But even in forgetting, you are never apart. Like waves on the ocean, you move, rise, and fall, but you never leave the sea. The mystic's path is not to destroy the wave, but to realize the water, to see that separation was never real, only rhythm, only play. The Holy Book whispers, whichever way you turn, there is the face of God. The veils are the colors of that face, the play of shadow and radiance. They are not to be feared, they are to be unveiled. For each time a veil falls, something returns, a piece of you that remembers it was never separate. The Sufis say the journey is a spiral, not a line. You travel outward to discover the world, only to circle inward and find the world within. Every love, every loss, every ecstasy and despair is another veil lifting, another return home disguised as a departure. When the Gnostic gazes upon the many, he no longer sees chaos, he sees choreography. Each soul turning like a planet around the hidden sun. Each event, each pain, each joy. A precise movement in the divine dance of return. And when the final veil falls, when the last boundary between the seen and the unseen dissolves, the one recognizes itself again. The lover and the beloved become indistinguishable. The mirror disappears, and only reflection remains. This is the secret of the return. The one never truly became many. The many never truly left the one. All along there was only God, dreaming, dissolving, remembering, and returning to himself through you. There is a mirror within you, older than time, clearer than light. It does not reflect faces or forms, it reflects being itself. The Sufis call it qalb, the heart, not the organ that beats, but the luminous center through which the divine beholds its own creation. When the veil of self is cleansed, the mirror turns, and God sees himself through you. In the world of appearances, you look outward and call it seeing. But in truth, it is the real that looks through your eyes. The Holy Book says it is not you who threw when you threw, but God who threw. This is Basira, the inner sight, where perception and the perceived dissolve into one. To see through the divine eye is not to gain vision, but to lose the seer. The mystics said, the heart is both the veil and the key. When clouded by ego, it distorts the light. When polished by remembrance, it becomes transparent, a passage for the infinite. Every act of dhikr, every breath in awareness, wipes a layer of dust from that mirror. And one day, the seeker glimpses what was always there. No separation between light and reflection, between witness and witnessed. Ibn Arabi called this theophany within the heart, the moment the real reveals himself through the polished soul. Al-Hallāj cried in ecstasy, I am the truth, not from arrogance, but from disappearance. For when the heart becomes utterly clear, there remains no I to speak, only the echo of God recognizing himself. The heart is the center of two infinities, one descending from the throne of God, the other ascending from the clay of man. In its stillness, heaven and earth embrace. There, perception ceases to be an act. It becomes revelation. The mystic no longer sees with the eyes, but as the object aperture, the single aperture through which all creation witnesses the one being. In this mirror, it reflects not light, but the source of light. It shows no image, because the true image is beyond form. When you gaze into it deeply enough, everything vanishes. The world, the self, even the act of gazing. What remains is awareness aware of itself, pure, boundless, unnameable. The Sufis say the heart has two faces, one toward creation, one toward the Creator. When both faces align, when the dual gaze becomes single, the veil between them shatters. Then, every leaf, every voice, every face becomes scripture, the book of God, written in light upon the fabric of the world. You no longer read words, you read existence. You no longer pray to him, you breathe him. To see through the divine eye is to walk in the world as a mirror. You carry no opinion, no fear, no grasping, for mirrors possess nothing. They only reveal. You become the still surface in which God beholds his own beauty. And as you move through time, through loss, through joy, you leave no shadow, only reflection. This is the alchemy of vision, to polish the heart until it shines with nothing of its own, to let the infinite look out through the finite, to live as the mirror in which the divine sees himself and calls that seeing love. Silence, it is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of the real. Before the first word, before the first breath of creation, there was only this, a stillness so complete, it shimmered. From that silence the command was spoken, be, and light burst forth. But, even as the galaxies unfolded, silence never left. It hides beneath every sound, waits behind every heartbeat, and, if you listen deeply enough, you will feel it breathing through you. The Sufis say the heart is the axis of creation, the qutb around which the worlds turn. Not the physical heart, but the luminous point within you where the divine breath touches clay, where the infinite meets the finite, where silence becomes sound and sound returns to silence. All of existence is a ripple from this center, and yet that center lives within you. When the mystic walks the path of return, they do not ascend to the heavens, they descend into the heart. For the journey is not upward, but inward. Every remembrance, every act of surrender, draws the seeker closer to that still axis, the still point that turns the stars. There comes a moment when all questions collapse, not because you've found the answer, but because you've remembered the silence that was always underneath the asking. This is fana al-qalb, the annihilation of the heart in the real. The ego ceases, the thoughts fade, even devotion itself dissolves. And in that vast quiet you realize, you were never the one who prayed, nor the one who listened. It was the divine speaking to itself through the hollow of your being. Ibn Arabi wrote, "The heart is the throne of the All-Merciful. It is where the universe bows to its own source. When it is purified, the heart becomes both the listener and the word, the silence and the echo, the lover and the beloved. And then creation itself bends around it, because the heart aligned with the real is the very pivot of existence." The saints called this sukun, sacred stillness, not lifelessness, but fullness. A silence so alive that it vibrates. It is the same silence Moses felt before the burning bush, the same silence the prophet tasted in the cave, the same silence that wrapped Rumi in the turning of his dance. It is the womb of revelation, the unseen dimension where light is born, and when the seeker finally rests in that silence, they see that creation is not separate from it. The world moves, but the axis does not. Time flows, but the center remains still. Every sound, every form, every life is a wave, and silence, the ocean beneath it. This is the secret of return, to become still enough for the real to move through you, to let the heart speak without words, and to know that all speech, all thought, all action is but the silence of God revealing itself in rhythm. In the end, all the mystics' journeys, all their tears, their revelations, their dissolutions, lead them back here, not to the heavens, but to the stillness within, where the breath slows, the mind bows, and the heart hums with the quiet music of the divine. Here, you are not the observer, you are the axis, the still center around which the cosmos turns, the silence that dreamt itself into stars. And when you rest as that silence, you realize that creation never began and you never left home. There is a word that has never been spoken, yet every heartbeat whispers it. A name that no tongue can pronounce, yet every breath utters its echo. The Sufis called it al-Kalimah al-Maknūnah, the hidden word. It is not found in books nor written in script, for it is written in the folds of existence itself. Every grain of sand, every trembling leaf, every sorrow and every joy is the ink of that word unfolding. The mystics say, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the light. But before the Word there was silence, and in that silence God knew himself. From that knowing creation was dreamed into being. You are part of that dream, a verse in the infinite poem, a reflection of the hidden word longing to remember its source. All the searching, the praying, the rising and the falling, it was never to find something new. It was to remember the silence from which you came, to awaken as the witness behind your thoughts, the eye behind the eyes. For the heart of the real is not somewhere above you or beyond you. It is here, within the stillness that watches your breath, within the quiet that remains when your stories end." Ibn Arabi said, "The universe is the outward face of the hidden treasure. To know yourself," he taught, "is to read the divine through the mirror of the soul. to realize that everything you love, fear, seek, and lose is God's own reflection playing with itself. There was never another. There was only the one, appearing as the many, so that love could behold itself through your eyes. So when you fall silent tonight, when the noise fades and your mind grows still, listen. Beneath the hum of thought, beneath the pulse of time, there it is again. That secret rhythm, that quiet flame, that hidden word pulsing through your veins. It is not asking to be spoken. It is asking to be remembered. And when remembrance becomes being, and being becomes love, the seeker disappears, and only the word remains. You become the echo of the unseen, the breath of the eternal breathing in form. This is the final unveiling, that the light you seek is the eye that sees, the sound you hear is the silence that listens, and the one you worship has been wearing your face all along.
So let this be the closing breath of your journey, not an ending, but a return to the stillness before beginnings, to the word before speech, to the light that hides within the dark. And if these words touched the flame within you, let it spread. Share this remembrance. Let others feel the silence behind your voice. Like, comment, and subscribe to Inner Alchemy, not to follow another, but to remember the one who's been whispering through you all along.